Hello everyone, I'm Slave to the Games, and this is my take on the gameplay demo of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. One thing to consider here is that this type of video is something I'm relatively new at, and I also am in the process of beating the first Bloodlines game as of this video. Another thing is that this is just my opinion on what I saw in the one demo that has been released so far, and how exactly that made me feel compared to the previous one. I try my best not to compare this to the complete AAA titles, no matter how much I think it should be, or I should, as I honestly believe it is still not quite there yet. I want to mention that I am by no means an expert critic and only hope to share my point of view on the subjects I will be going over in this video. That this does not mean in any way I will not be getting the game. I most certainly have already pre-ordered the expansion edition with all the future DLC included and everything that comes with anything that will ever come out with it. At least within the first year, if they decide to do anything more. Without further ado, if you enjoy what you hear here, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share a comment on why you are excited for this game and what you think of the information provided in the demo. First of all, I'm going to say this straight, right off the bat. It is definitely an unpolished game in its current state. Not unplayable, just not ideal considering the time they have had and the age we are in for games as a whole. I can straight up say I will play this and I would at its current state, but I will not lie and say that with the recent delay, I'm very supportive of them taking this time to clean it up and make it the game it should be and that we and they deserve to have. The overall visuals definitely beat the first game. The colors, the lighting, and the shadows, they all look good, but it still needs polish for that extra oomph. Things like making the shadows darker and the light casting better, as well as having them work together at the same time even more than they already do, will make the game look much more detailed. At the very least, it'll feel more detailed and nice looking rather than washed out like in some areas that were shown in the demo. Textures, for the most part, well, all the textures look really good, with obviously some things that just need touching up so they don't look painted into the game rather than actually a part of it. Distant buildings look terrible and need work. The farther away, the worse they look. This is an issue that needs to be fixed, and that should seem like common sense, but I mean, if you look at some of the buildings in the distance, they look horrible, and I mean really bad. And now on to melee combat. This one was personally something I have a small issue with, not too much as in like I understand is what it's coming from, but I also see where it could have been, and that's where my biggest issue is probably around here, and that would be with executions and special moves. They're really cool. Like I really like the whole flipping over the character and punching them or the critical attacks. I think they're cool, but then it goes back to we happy few type of fighting, and I'm like in that it definitely needs some work, you know? It really looks and feels like there's no weight to the melee combat as well. Like when you're swinging your weapon around, it really does not look, or at least while I'm watching it, I didn't really feel like the weapons were really connecting. It just kind of hit. Executions and critical attacks, they also need more polishing as they can really look sloppy. Though, I mean, I have to say, it does have a charm to it, and I definitely think this could be better, even if it does have a charm to it, and even if it's at a pretty good level considering where it came from. You know, as I said, it's good and definitely a lot better than the first Bloodlines. I very much appreciate that, but I do think it could be better. I do think it could look and feel better. Now, another thing that I noticed that I really paid attention to, and I have to say, I picked this video apart. I watched it 3 times just so I could try and find things to go over and things that I had a problem with, and this was the AI. It needs a little bit of work. As more than one time watching the demo did I see one shooting a wall when you're like standing right to the right of them, or some other weird gimmick. Also, they should prioritize finding cover before loading their weapon, or at least switch to a melee weapon when they run out. The AI tactics need to be improved for combat. Of course, some of this could just be due to the difficulty that they had set when they were showcasing the video, but I won't know that until I get my hands on the game, but hopefully these issues are fixed by the time it comes out. If not, it's not a huge issue. It's just something, like I said, that I'm picking out that I find a problem with in the demo so far. This one's probably going to be one of the more small sections that I'm just going to briefly gloss over, and that's the voice acting. I think it sounds solid. In fact, I think the voice acting is one of the best things about it. It sounds really good. Like, I really like the voice acting in this. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think with anything, it can always be better, but I think in this area, this is probably one of the best things about the game so far. I really love it. I enjoy everybody's voices that was showcased, and I can't wait to hear the rest of them. And now we need to get to the one that can make or break a game for me, and that's lip sync. It definitely needs some work. At times, it was decent, but I can't excuse the rest. This should be perfected on release. Bugs aside, there is no excuse for bad lip sync in my book. Like I said, at least in my opinion. I know some of you can be completely fine with this. Remember, this is just my opinion, and for me, lip sync can significantly improve or break my immersion. How much I care about a scene and just my overall fun with the game, and how much I care about people and just what is going on is affected by this just as much, if not more, than the voice acting. Now, the animations they really need some work here, and I mean really, because things like picking things up, that doesn't actually happen. You just walk over, press the button, and it just ends up in your hand. Opening doors is ridiculous. And then the body language is, I mean, it's decent, but it could get a little bit better. Oh, and did I mention opening doors? I mean, jokes aside, I believe the simple walking down a hill to raging bold door opening all the way to not actually picking things up is all just an issue that should be fixed. Though only one of these is a pet peeve of my own, and basically that is the picking things up. I wish there was an animation to show you actually pick something up, actually grab the doorknob, actually move something. Like I like that in games, and without it, it feels lacking, but it's not the biggest thing out there, as I've said. A lot of people will have an issue with this, and that's ambient noise, but I think only a little bit more in varying ways will be enough, as walking at night does tend to be quieter, and this is fine. Add louder and better footstep sounds, as well as more car noises, cats meowing, dogs barking, wind blowing, etc. Just a little bit of each would be a lot better than what we have now. But as I've said before, and as I've thought to myself, it's really small. It's not a huge issue at all. I actually am completely fine with if you just decide to leave it as is. But I can't deny that if it had a little bit more background noise, if the footsteps sounded a little bit louder, if people chattered a little bit more, it would sound a lot better. And speaking of chattering, I see a good amount of people talking about this as well. And for me, I really just think that if a person or if people or things look like they are chatting, then make them chat. If they're sitting there waving their arms back and forth as if they're having a discussion, but no words are coming out, that's an issue to me. Have them ramble. Having characters just barely make the notions of being alive ever so slightly does not do anything for the game or gamers at all. In fact, it looks lazy to me. Just give them some BS story about something random about their life or what they think, like, oh, you know, I was visiting my grandma today, but she decided that because she was sick, she wasn't going to go out. Just something like that. This is one part that contributes to making the world feel more dead than it needs to be or should be. And there's no pun intended, I swear to God. But seriously, fix this. This is immersion breaking. Will literally make me want to avoid those places when I play, reminding me just how out of place the lack of talking makes that game moment feel and that place. One thing I do want to talk about is the feeding. It's better than the first, and I like that because, one, it made me sick with it spinning all the time in the first one, but the issue here is that it still has clipping and it needs a little bit more polishing to look great, because in my opinion, while it looks better than the first, you also bite through somebody's hoodie. It's just ridiculous. Like, I know that you're a vampire and you probably could do that, but the clipping that comes along with it is just something that it's a little eerie thing. It just bugs me a little bit. Like I said, this is another one of those things that I mentioned time and time again. It's not that big a deal. I'll deal with it if I have to, but if it could be fixed, if it could be made better, that's something I would greatly appreciate. And finally, the powers. They look cool. Enough said about that. However, there does seem to be a limited amount of them, but hey, you know what? I'm fine with that because they got, like, I don't know, somewhere between 10, 20. If I was going to give a specific count, I would, but that is not for this video. This is just from what was showcased in the demo. They looked great. I really liked how they looked. I really liked how they sound. I like what you could do with them. I can't wait to see the rest of them. I don't know if I'm going to showcase them all, but I can't wait. They look cool. I just really like it. That's enough of me nerding out about this. We're moving on to the next one, and that's dialogue. I love how you can see what each special choice uses rather than having to remember the color codes. I constantly found myself in the first one going, is this intimidation or yes, I know I have a bad memory. Yes, I know that it should be simple, but this just makes it so I never have to question that. I never have to sit there and be like, wait, is that one? And I never have to have people sit there and tell me in my streams or anything or in my videos saying, Seth, pink means seduction. Obviously you can tell by that. How come you keep forgetting? I don't have to deal with that anymore because I could just see it on the side. This is just something I think every dialogue game should have. It just makes it a lot more simple. It makes it a lot more easier for you to decide what you want without having to remember too much. You just look at the screen and you're like, yes, I want to intimidate. That is the intimidate option. This is what I want to do. Or if you don't accidentally have to choose something like, oh, God damn it, I didn't mean to do that, and then have to restart the conversation or go back to a previous load, because that's not the choice you wanted to make. And another one of the best ones here is the character models. For the most part, they're really, really good from what I've seen. The only thing I could like ask for as improvements are their textures. Maybe look them a little bit better, or polish up what's already there. Like voice acting, I can only imagine anything added to this is just an absolute win. I mean, this is, like I said, one of the best ones. There really is no part for me to complain here. I thought they all looked pretty great, and this is mostly, and I mean this how do I put this lightly? It is mostly with the main characters of the whole entire game. This means every important character you come across. If we're going to talk about the NPCs, the random people out there, that's a completely different story. They all look pretty generic, so maybe spruce them up a little bit, maybe get a little bit more character models, like a little bit more for more variety? God damn it, why'd I have to mess up that word? Anyways, we're moving on to the next one. But I'm kidding. Now, luckily for you all, everything I've talked about is over. I was just joking. There really is nothing else. You no longer have to listen to me ramble about what I thought of the gameplay that has been shown to us as of yet, and through this video and other content creators, you'll be able to come up with your own opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video and what I discussed. If you feel like sharing your own opinions below, feel free to do so. If you feel like I missed something to go over, or if there's something you want me to go over and or give my opinion about, please leave a comment and I will definitely think about doing exactly that. Remember guys, this is just my opinion, and in no way am I trying to make you buy the game or never pick it up. In fact, as I said at the beginning of the video, I already have the biggest, baddest edition pre-ordered, and I'm sure to like the game. I mean it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to really like the game. But okay, that's enough. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I release streams and or uploads at least once a day, every day at around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Once again, see you guys in my next release, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed what you watched.